Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I am Real Life with Kay, where on this channel we discuss everything from motherhood to lifestyle. Anything that I feel like I want to talk about, I talk about it. So if there's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. If you're returning, welcome back, fam bam. Hey y'all, hey, and all that fun stuff. So today's video, as you can tell from the title, we're going to be discussing common questions that I've received about my IVF journey. And I'll go through those questions that I received from, whether it be my TikTok, my Instagram, wherever. I've kind of gathered those questions. And I took the top 4 questions because most of the questions were actually the exact same questions that people wanted to know. So I took those questions and we're just going to go ahead and answer those today. If you see a glare from my glasses, I'm sorry, a sister can't see. If you hear me breathing hard, again, I'm sorry. I'm out of breath, but welcome to my bedroom. I am doing this recording from my bedroom. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'll link it up above so you guys can go back and watch the video of me explaining the whole bedroom situation. Yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the first question that I saw was, how long did the IVF cycle take? So we started, after we did all the preliminaries, we started in, I want to say, March of 2021. Is that right? Started in March. And when I say we started in March, that's when they started manipulating my cycle. So I met with my doctor, my fertility doctor, and he was he scheduled time for me to come off my birth control. And then from that time I came off my birth control, we had a period. And then, so I would say from March to end of April, early May is the entire process of the shots, the injections, to actually get the transfer done. And then to actually become pregnant, I would say about 4 months. So 3 to 4 months, long story short, 3 to 4 months is about the amount of time that it took us to go through this cycle. Now, I'm not including after we did find out I was pregnant and I was still taking the injections. I'm just talking about from the time we started the birth control, manipulating the cycle up until we actually had the transfer. So about 3 to 4 months. That's different for everybody because it all depends on how your body reacts to the medicines and things like that. So we can go into a deep discussion on that on the next video. The next question is, how long did I have to take estrogen and progesterone injections after transfer? So that's a great question because this is something I did not know. Because if you've ever gone through IVF or if you're getting ready to go, one thing that you'll know is they send you all of your medication at one time. And so when they sent me all the medication one time, I went through it, but I didn't know what this oil was for and when it was supposed to be used. Well, I started taking the progesterone oil 6 days prior to my transfer. So from 6 days prior to my transfer up until I was 10 weeks pregnant, I was taking progesterone shots and I was taking the estradiol pill. So the progesterone and the estradiol pill from 6 days prior to transfer up until I was actually 10 weeks pregnant. And my ass still itch and it's still tender. And I'm in my 2nd trimester. So there you go. Be prepared for that. Is it painful? Great question. Another great question. A lot of times when we go to IVF, we're fearful of the needles, of the injections. And I think I've said this in other videos as well. I have a playlist of them. The injections into the stomach, when you first start, you're kind of fearful of it because it's a needle, but the needles are really small. So once you get past the first or the second one, you're kind of like, okay, it only gets painful, and I don't even want to call it painful, I call it discomfort. It only becomes uncomfortable when you run out of spaces on your tummy to actually do the injections. So that part is not painful. I would say if I had to choose a painful part and put it on a scale from 1 to 10, the most painful part I would say would be, and it will be at a 5. Again, this depends on your pain tolerance. Maybe a 7, depending on your pain tolerance, is after the egg retrieval. Because you have to be mindful when you go do your egg retrieval, they're actually poking holes into your ovaries to remove those eggs. And so that becomes like you actually have to heal from those pokes. So that's more of a painful, I will say, from a scale of 1 to 10, I will put that on the 7. But as you heal, it gets better. As far as discomfort throughout the procedure, I would say prior to the egg retrieval, that's uncomfortable, because depending on how many eggs you develop, depending on how many follicles you develop over that time. For me, I had 27 that developed, and so I was walking around with like 2 pounds of blueberries in my ovaries when we only used to walk around with 1 or 2. So just kind of envision that. And then the other uncomfortable part was the transfer. And that was only uncomfortable, if you saw my video, it was only uncomfortable because you have to go in there on the full bladder, and while you're doing the transfer, they're pressing down on your bladder while they're injecting the embryo back into your uterus. So those are the main, again, not painful, just uncomfortable. The most painful part was the egg retrieval, the recovery of the egg retrieval. And the progesterone shots aren't painful, they're just annoying and they're uncomfortable. So yeah. What's the other question? Okay, so this is a question that everybody wants to know, and I get this question like often, is was it expensive, or how much did it cost? And so my response to that is, we went in preparing to spend at least $20,000. Did we spend $20,000? No, we didn't. But we was prepared to spend $20,000 because the IVF cycle depends on the process depends on your location. It depends on your doctor. It depends on what your protocol is. Medication alone can bring you anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 at minimum, and then that can increase depending on how your body reacts to the injection. So if you need more Menopur, if you need more Menopur, if you need more Cetratide, if you need like that stuff, it depends on how your body reacts. So if your body doesn't react the way that they want it to, then you would have to purchase more medication, and the medication is not cheap. But I will say, while I'm saying that, I will say to reach out to your insurance and see if your insurance will help you to cover your medication. We were fortunate enough to have an insurance that actually covered or helped us cover our medication, most of our medication. So we wasn't out of pocket $4,000 at all. Were we out of pocket some money? Yes, but it was not $4,000. So I think the highest purchase, well, no, it wasn't the highest, but definitely plan to spend at least $4,000 to $6,000 on your medication alone. Again, that varies per person because your protocol may not be the same as another person, so it's kind of hard to say. So I'm just gonna give you a range. For the preliminaries, we spend, again, a lot of this stuff is based on your insurance. If your insurance covers like physicals and fertility things, testings and things like that, then you're good to go. If you don't have insurance that covers that, then you may want to reach out to that fertility doctor and find out how much that stuff is going to cost. A lot of times they won't give you a breakdown of how much an IVF cycle costs because, again, it depends on everybody's situation is different, which means everybody's protocol would be different. So you may need 5 months of Menopur and all that stuff, and versus the next person may need only a month. So it just depends on the person and how the body reacts. So that's why they won't give you an actual, and then you may not even need IVF. They may be able to just give you IUI. You just don't know. So it's kind of hard to say, but I will say that we pay for before we actually pay for the egg retrieval and the transfer. We did pay for our own office visits out of pocket. There was a specialist visit with insurance. It was $45. My husband had to pay for his semen analysis, which was $100 every time that he had to do it, and he ended up having to do his semen analysis like 2 or 3 times. Was it 2 or 3? 2 or 3 times for that. And then for once we went to the doctor and we decided that, okay, we wanted to go. Another thing about IVF that I don't know if you guys know is you can basically time when you want this thing to happen. Like, if you're looking for your baby to happen in November, then you can count those months on when you want to start that IVF cycle. That's the beauty of it, because you have a lot more control versus just allowing, your body to do what it does. So we didn't necessarily have a time when we wanted to deliver, like summer, winter, fall, whatever. We didn't have that. We just knew that we wanted to make sure we was able to get some vacations time together and spend some quality time together before we actually started the process. So that determined when we started. We did have to pay up front for our egg retrieval. So once we started the process, when you go in, the first payment that they ask you for is for your egg retrieval. That first payment was, let me see, I have it in my email. Okay. Our first payment was due at our baseline sonogram appointment. That was a total of $8,900 for our first round. This is everything. It includes our cycle monitoring, the egg retrieval. It includes the IVF laboratory, the the biopsy. It covered 1 year of storage, which I'm glad I just looked at that, because I was just thinking about that the other day. 1 year of storage for your embryos. Like, it covered all that, right? Only thing that did not cover was my anesthesia. And anesthesia, we had to pay separate out of pocket. That was $500. And then because we wanted to do what they call the HCG testing, the genetic testing. We wanted to do the genetic testing. And so for the genetic testing, that cost PGT-A testing. So we paid $1,750 to get 8 of our embryos tested for any chromosomal issues, for any and to be able to tell us if we had how many boys or how many girls we had. So that was another cost. That was a separate cost from the $8,900 that we originally paid up front. So $8,900 up front, and that covered every single visit, which is not bad, because once you start your injections, at least for me, once I started my injections, I was going to the doctor every other day, drawing blood, getting sonograms. Like, that stuff adds up. So $8,900 is what we paid off top, plus the $500 for the anesthesiologist for the embryo, because when you go and do your egg retrieval, they do put you under. So $500 for the anesthesiologist, and then we paid that additional $1,750 for the genetic testing. We could have did more. We could have did more embryos than what we did, but we just needed, one. We wasn't trying to have multiple. So that's something about. Again, this varies. It's not the same for everybody. I'm just giving you the numbers that we have. And then for our frozen embryo transfer cycle, which is due at the start of the cycle, we had to pay a total of about $4,500. We had to pay that. This included the thaw, the culture, the transfer, the monitoring, the pregnancy test, sonogram. That covered all of that. So that was another cost that we had to pay out of pocket. And yeah, the great thing about it is we didn't have to pay all this in one big lump sum. We could pay for it, because not everybody that does the egg retrieval go through the transfer. So they break it down where you pay for the egg retrieval. You put your babies in the freezer for however long you want to put them in there until you're ready to transfer. Then when it's time to transfer, you can go back and pay that transfer fee. So that's what I did like about mine. But that's basically what all we paid for. So I don't know how much that tallied up to be. And that's not including the medication costs. That's just the IVF stuff. So was it expensive? Yes and no. It just depends on what you prepare to spend and what you could afford to spend. And it also depends on your location. It depends on your doctor, your specialist, because every specialist is not the same. And it also depends on your particular protocol. So those were just base numbers that I got from my clinic. Again, those numbers were not set in stone. They definitely fluctuated depending on what we decided to do and when we decided to do it, things like that. Our medication, if we have to re-up on medication, because we did have to re-up on a couple of our medications. And yeah, I think that's it. Let me know if y'all have any other questions. I didn't want this to be super long, but I did want to make sure that I let you guys know what we did spend, how much we spent, and all that crazy stuff, and what the process was like, and I'll give you guys the top 4 questions that I was asked. It was expensive, but thankfully for us, we did have our insurance that covered our covered some of our medication costs. I want to say my insurance covered my anesthesia costs too. I have to go look at the bill, but I do still have bills. just so you know, we do still have bills from this. And what else? Oh, another thing to do that I've always told people is check and see if your job offers any type of fertility assistance. A lot of times they don't advertise it, so you have to go through the handbook, through your insurance, and all that stuff, and check and see. They may offer some type of incentive for you for any fertility assistance that you may need. So definitely look into that if you have a corporate job. Also look and see if they do have different programs out there that you can sign up for. I'll try to link them down in the description box. I know there's one that I'll link down in the description box, and you can just reach out to them and see if they'll help you as well. But I just wish everybody good luck that wants to go through this process, that's planning on going through this process, getting ready to start this process. I do get a lot of women that reach out to me and let me know that they're starting, whether they're in their 2-week wait, they're in their transfer, they get ready for retrieval, whatever it is. I'm sending you guys positive vibes. I'm sending you guys baby dust for whatever it is that you're wishing and you're asking for. I'm just sending all the love, the positivity your way, because it absolutely is a journey, y'all. And I keep saying this, and I'm gonna keep saying it. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. What may happen quickly for one person may not happen to you, but that's totally fine. We're just trying to get to the end goal and have this bun in your oven and get this baby to this world. That's all we're trying to do. That's all we're trying to do. We're not focusing on nobody else. We're focusing on ourselves. So with that being said, I'm sending you guys peace, blessings, positive vibes, and a lot of baby dust. And I'm just praying that you guys stay mentally prepared, get your support system in order. Make sure you're surrounded by love and support, because you're going to absolutely need it. All right, so I'm about tired of sitting like this because I'm out of breath. My little bun just over here moving around. But if you guys have any other questions, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any other questions, please do not hesitate to ask me, whether you're on my Instagram or my Instagram, my TikTok, on here, YouTube, wherever. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. I'm more than happy to support. I'm more than happy to help, just to get through the process, because I understand the journey. So until I talk to you guys again, thank you guys so much for